What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, and I am very happy to be joined by Cody Garbrandt during a fight week. Over the last 18 months, man, it's been tough. I know it's been a tough road for you to get to fight week healthy, but here you are, you're fighting Rob Font in the main event of a UFC fight night here Saturday at the Apex. How you feeling, man? Just making it here and knowing that fight day is only a couple days away.
Yeah, excited. So we're just right now waiting on our COVID test to come back negative, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Mhm.
But yeah, just excited. The work was, the preparation for this camp was, you're in there fighting possibly for 25 minutes. So it was, the preparation was amazing. I feel like this is glimpses of the Dominick Cruz fight camp. Kind of reminded me of that, going 5 rounds. I felt great throughout, the whole training, all areas of martial arts. I'm excited to get here, be here with my team, have a big fight main event locked in and, a good adversary and Rob Font, he's at the top of his probably peak career, so his biggest fight of his life as well. Um, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he brings, and I'm excited what I'm going to bring in there.
We talked a lot last year, man, about health issues, with your kidneys, what happened before the Columbus card, and then, obviously COVID and what happened with your bicep and all that. So I don't want to talk about health too much with you today. But what
Yeah,
I do want to ask you
I'm
is
healthy, man. Knock on wood.
the last time we spoke, though, you said that you were still having some lingering effects of that, of the COVID. You were on some blood thinners from the blood
Mhm.
clots. Is that something that you've had to continue to monitor, or when did you finally just completely move past all of that stuff?
So we talked a few months ago, right? It was, probably upwards of probably 6 months, you'd say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got some blood work done and just did some testing. Obviously did some, to see how my kidney levels were as well. Just got all that checked. I have a great doctor that, make sure my levels are all good. So we just kind of checked them a few times and they came back clear, 2 or 3 times after that, kind of just stopped doing it. Didn't want to kind of be out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, and just focus on getting in the grind. Not letting anything kind of pop up. If it did, we'd address it. But yeah, I was kind of wanted to just have it on my mind. You don't want to have any lingering um, negative thoughts about your health going into a profession that we do. We fight inside of a steel cage. So just want to make sure that my body was able to first and foremost be healthy enough to go through a very hard training camp, putting myself in uncomfortable positions. So when it comes fight time, like if I'm in those uncomfortable positions, I know that I've pushed past that and much more inside of my training and preparation for the fight. And that's the only thing that I was worried about, is knowing that my body could hold up. I didn't want to have to take a fight and have to back out of a fight because, the COVID residual effects were still affecting me in the training. So it took some time, and it was a lot of a lot of ups and downs, to be honest, and just the body just, not being ready. But we did an amazing. I just really have to really thank all my coaches and training partners and physical therapist that got me ready for this fight. I mean, I just so thankful and excited to go out there and showcase all of our hard work this Saturday. But like I said, it's been quite the journey to get back. But definitely thankful for the health and just excited to be here, man. Excited to fight. Like, this is a huge fight, between me and Rob Font. Title eliminator, I think, at the 135-pound division.
Mhm.
And there's the flyweight title
Mhm.
that's fighting June. So I might stick around here, keep my weight down in case Fat Boy Figgy doesn't make weight again. They need a replacement. So and that's after the fight. But obviously focus on Rob and going out there and getting this big win on Saturday.
Yeah, man, take me back to the end of last year when where were you watching that fight between Figueiredo and Moreno? And then as you kind of saw, the point gets deducted, and then you thinking to
Uh,
yourself, like, dude,
I
this guy,
called it.
yeah.
I called it. I called it. I definitely called that. I think it's going to be a majority draw. We were at Pink Martini. It's a bar in Rockland, California. I had some friends. We know the owner, so we did like a little private viewing party for it. And I knew. I was like, I called it majority draw. I'm like, damn, man, I got to run this rematch back, and it happened. So I think everything happens for a reason. Obviously, I wasn't prepared and healthy enough to go inside the octagon to fight for the title. But here I am now, put all the hard work into this training camp, my focus on Rob Font, going out there and getting the job done. So one fight at a time, but obviously that's a fight that I'd like to get back eventually. But, we got a task at hand on Saturday.
Why did you, what was the thought process once that happened? Because as you mentioned, that flyweight fights, the rematch is not that far away from right now. So
Right.
what was kind of like your thought process in terms of, all right, that was a draw, they're going to have a rematch. How long is that going to take? Like, what was going through your head in terms of what's my next step going to be?
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of, in the limbo stage, like of what's going to happen next, having the pulling out from the fight with COVID after granted the title shot there. It didn't surprise me, just, how things happen, it's kind of I just, focus on getting healthy first and foremost. I was training every day throughout, through the COVID, doing what I could. So, I've been training I literally, since I stepped out, I was back to the gym on Monday when I fought a Sunsao, so I've been training. It just, I've had some, COVID really affected that. And then obviously, I had the, blood clots, tearing the vein, be on the blood thinners, the vertigo, was all from COVID, but felt great, man. Just kind of went back in the, training. Just, I really didn't skip a beat, once I got my conditioning and the residual effects of that, I felt great. Felt like this is probably the most and complete martial artist that I'll be stepping inside the octagon on Saturday. So very excited for that. I just really honed my skills and, got back to what I was doing, 8 months before that, leading up to the Sunset fight. So really, I just been, adding tools and sharpening tools and learning new techniques and just staying hungry. That's the thing, just staying focused and hungry was the two biggest things through all that. But also, with the health issues, that's how allowed me to learn just this happens in this sport, happens in life.
What at the end of the day made you want to take this fight? And then what do you see in Rob as an opponent? How do you anticipate this fight going?
Yeah, I was calling out Jose Aldo,
That's right.
That's a fight that I was looking forward to having, especially with the bantamweight circus with what's going on with Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling at the top. So, that's going to be, some distance away from getting a title shot there, or who knows, what's going on with that. So honestly, I just wanted to fight, and the UFC matched me and paired me with Rob Font, which is great. That's a fight that I really like a lot. Yeah, I mean, you don't get to be in the top 10, top 5 without being skilled. I'm not taking anything away from Rob Font, but he has a lot of boxes that need to be checked. He's never been in a main event. He's never been in a very high prolific fight. Never been in a 5-round fight. Those are all things that I've been in and passed. So there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked on his part. I think he's skilled. I don't think you get to being third ranked in the division if you're not. But I just feel like I'm the overall better fighter that in all areas, wherever it needs to go, however I need to get this, victory on Saturday. I just feel like I'm more than prepared. What I did in camp was just, it was brutal. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, it was hard but smart training, and I don't think there's a lot of fighters that do that or push themselves like that. But I know what's at stake. It's me getting back to the top of the mountain, becoming a world champion, and I've been here before. I've tasted gold. I know what it takes to become a champion, but now I have the recipe to become the champion again and defend it as long as I want to. And that's just through a lot of, trial and error, being, learning a lot about yourself on those down times. What I take away from my last fight was, yeah, the performance was great. The feelings was great, but what I had inside the octagon leading up to the walk out to the octagon, inside of those nerves, that adrenaline, that just love and passion. That's one thing that I was like, yeah, all the other stuff was great, the knockout and the performance, but having those feelings again for something that you love, that's priceless. And that's what fuels me. That's what I was waiting for to have back, was that passion. And it's here, man. It's been here, and it's some more. I think I'm obsessed with this sport, than I ever been, and more hungry than ever. Especially with what I've been able to go through and get over, just to be able to come here and, fight during this pandemic.
Yeah, and what you're describing about having that feeling in the locker room and on the walkout, I gotta say, man, when I talk to people about this fight, and I'm sure you see it online as well, it's like people are like, "Man, Cody's so skilled, he's so good. As long as he fights smart,
Yeah.
as
Oh,
long
yeah.
as he's not emotional, like for a guy, I mean, that was 3 fights in your career, and it was like years ago now, and I'm sure you've put so much time and energy and conversations into that, like for you to be on as you're the guy that they're saying that about, like, man, Cody's so good, but he's always fights so dumb, like what is that? What is that like for you? And are you sure that those problems are gone for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's different stages of my life. I was at a different stage of my life during those fights. Not to unwind those or unwrap those again, but just being emotionally sound. That's one thing going inside of an octagon. You have to be, and also preparing the way you need to be, and putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and places in training. That's going to have your confidence. Injuries did a lot of things. There's a lot of things that that was a combination of how I fought and my performance, and the number one reason that the passion just wasn't there. I felt like I was just honestly clocking in and clocking out. And yeah, so I do see that, the emotional fighter or the Cody 2.0. And it's funny to me. It's like, yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago. That's even who I was and how I fought. Like, kind of look back and you're somewhat embarrassed, but somewhat, thankful for those kind of learning lessons, in your career. Damn, why the hell would I fight like that? But it's about maturing and growing, and knowing that you're going to get better from those fights. I learned so much from those fights. I went and iced those guys, knocked them out. Who knows if I'd be sitting here, I'd be as hungry as I am today, still wanting to fight. Who knows? I mean, there's a reason why that happened to me, to be able to have more, battles in my life inside the octagon, because it's not against Rob Font that I'm fighting against. It's against myself. I have to mentally, physically, emotionally defeat myself inside there, to come at peace with myself, to go inside and then dissect Rob Font. So if I'm defeated myself before the fight, and I've had those mental battles all camp, that's why I push myself in such great shape. Things that I didn't want to do on the daily, I did, and that is a recipe for success. That's finally like, all right, now you have that mental battle, you beat yourself. Now you have a mental battle between Rob. When it comes third, fourth, fifth round, if it needs to be, like, whose will is going to, override. The skill's there. I mean, you don't get to be in this kind of spotlight without having skill. It's about the will. And we'll see how he prepared for this fight, and how he's able to, when it goes possibly third, fourth, fifth round, that he's never been in those kind of fights before. We'll see how his will stacks up, because I know that I did everything that I could to try to do daily, and a couple times a day, is break my will, break my spirit, and I wasn't able to. Because my heart wouldn't let me. My love and passion and hunger wouldn't let me, because I know what's at stake here, and so does he. And if he's looking at, oh, I gotta go beat Cody Garbrandt to get a title shot, well, he's sadly mistaken me, because this ain't the Cody Garbrandt that he's seen. This is going to be a different one. I don't think anybody's seen this. Not even a Dominick Cruz fight. Not even. I'm just excited to go out there and perform, and got a respect for the guy in his camp and like that. But I'm taking him out.
I want to ask you real quick about one specific part of his game, and that is because recently it seems like when he fights, he gets commentators and the fans, they notice that he's got a very, very good jab. And then even when I spoke to him, he said he thought that he could frustrate you a little bit with his jab. What do you think about his jab and just his boxing in general? Because I know that you believe yourself to be a pretty darn good boxer as well.
Yeah. Well, let's see. He wants to see. You want to. What would you trade? Would you trade a good jab, or would you train a laser right hand with the fastest guy in the UFC? What would you trade? I'm taking the fastest guy with a mean ass right hand over a jab each day. So that's fine if he wants to, say that his tool is going to be a jab, because I got answers for that. I'll shut that down different ways than he will ever imagine. And that's what we're prepared for. Mark Henry and my coaches, Chris Holdsworth, Danny Castillo, Michael Malott, are just top of the game. There's top of the game. What are we able to do? I'm going to be 3-4 steps ahead of that guy inside that octagon. And, I'm just their soldier that they got ready for, and they're giving me the commands in the corner, and, I got the gun loaded. So, yeah, I'm excited. He does well with the jab, you know what I mean? But I grew up boxing, I grew up with a lot of boxing fights, and, that's good. And I hope he uses that jab a lot. That's going to be something that he's going to have to use. He's going to have to use more than a jab to stop me.
Last thing for you, dude, and I appreciate the time during a fight week. You said you called the majority draw. You knew it was gonna. It was like, oh boy, we're gonna have that rematch and everything. So call this rematch then. Who do you think wins in the Figueiredo Moreno, and then how do you fit into that? Do you think that's your next move, or do you think it could be weird? You could be like a #1 contender in 2 weight classes, which would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I like to have options, man. I like to have options. Look, here's the thing: if Brandon Moreno could bust a grape, I think that he could, do some damage, but he's just not doing anything. He's got a good combination. He was really good. What I liked about Brandon, what he did in the fights, that he was throwing kicks on the break. When Figgy would, have his hands down, he would try to do his exits. He was kicking him on the breaks, and obviously the wrestling, taking Deiveson down, getting him tired, I think would be a huge tool to use again. But you got to stop them. You got to do something with the takedowns. You got to do more than just taking them down. You got to do some ground and pound. Ride them out for a couple minutes in there, get them real tired, get them exhausted. I think Deiveson will get the win. I think he'll get the win again. He just Brandon. They both get hit too much, for sure. Like I said, if Brandon had a little bit more pop on his punches, I think he could stop Figgy. But I think Figgy stops him this time. I'm just gonna go with Figgy. That's the fight that I would like. But I'm gonna go with Figgy this time by stoppage.
And you think in your gut, after you get this win on Saturday, that'll be your next fight, is Figueiredo?
Well, we'll talk to Mick and Sean and Dana and Ali and see. Like, I'm not against it. I mean, I would rather kind of fight sooner, since I'm, just got off camp, or he's in camp, not that I'm not going to say names, but there's a lot of 25 pounders I know for a fact that are bigger than me, that walk around more than me, weight wise. So it's not an issue about making the weight. It won't be. That's just about dedication and sacrifice and dieting for 8 weeks to do that. So I'd rather do it sooner than later, because the bantamweight division's on fire, and I love a lot of those matchups that present a future, Hall of Fame fights, performance bonuses. The only reason I'd be going to 25 was to fight for the title and fight Deiveson Figueiredo if he's still, this unstoppable force. But he looked very stoppable last fight. But if he gets the job done, when he fights Brandon Moreno, I'll go down and fight him and capture that title, and wait to see what's going on with the bantamweight division.
I love it, man. So many options for you this year, but you got to take care of business, of course, against Rob Font this Saturday. Looking forward to the fight, man. Thank you so much for the time. Good luck.
Dude, Brett, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. I'll see you there.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.